Hi, my name is Mary Houle. I'm a gardener in Richmond, Vermont. This is my hometown. This is the place I grew up. And I live on the family homestead where I grew up as a child, as we all do, start as a child. Today I'm going to talk about tool care. I've talked about tool care in the past, but as we're getting into the fall season, it's a good idea to kind of take inventory of your tools. As you walk through the last vestiges of your garden, take a visual inventory, but also as you're kicking your way through the leftover weeds, you're going to find certain things that you had at the beginning of the season. Where did that go? Well, you're going to find, you probably will find a set of clippers. You might find a garden knife or a set of garden shears that you left out there, and I'll be back to get those, and you never quite made it. Well, as you walk through your garden, one of the identifying characteristics that helps you find things is having labels on things. And labels aren't always the written label. Sometimes it's a label like this fluorescent tape, which is on one of my favorite gardening cultivators. And this fluorescent pic, I think this has been on there 10 years, but having it on there these 10 years is a testament of time, or that I can find it every time I've put it down. That's pretty important. I haven't treated this handle, I think, in 5 years. It's probably due for a treatment. I want to keep this relatively sliver-free because I don't always wear my gardening gloves. So I would treat this with a little bit of mineral oil. WD-40 is a shortcut, but that would work just fine. The other thing I would use WD-40 is the tines. And the WD-40 will absorb into the tines or into the metal, and it will stave off rust. But over the winter, it's going to dissipate. The very little bit of oil that I put on there, I will massage into it with one of my shop cloths. And probably there's going to be enough oil on the cloth to do all of my tools. So I'll wipe these off. Of course, I've washed off the dirt ahead of time. Let them dry, because the oil, oil and water don't mix. So let the tool dry. I pretty much have a hanger on almost everything that I have, so it'll hang to air dry. When it's fully dry, and this little bezel that holds the head of your tool onto the wooden handle, that little bezel, there's one on this one as well. You want to make sure that this is dry enough so that when you do put your WD-40 oil rag on it, that the water doesn't seep out and negate all the oil that you've put on there. So the other thing that you want to take a look at is as you go through the garden, I consider these to be my gardening knife. This is, of course, it's a paring knife. This is a serrated edge knife, and I use this to cut stalk, like a rhubarb stalk in the garden. I have this in a cement block parked in the garden so that it's always, and you notice I don't have a marker on this, but if it's not in the cement block, I'm SOL. So both of these reside there. They both have plastic handles, so I don't have to worry about wood warping or with any slivers forming. But I use this as a tool in the garden for rhubarb, for tall woody plants. I'll use it to take the tops off carrots. I'll use it to take the tops off beets. And the other thing I will use at this time of year, I'll start using this to divide some of my perennials that I'm going to be transplanting. That serrated edge makes a big deal. I wouldn't use a straight edge just because the serrated edge gives you so much more bite. And it's much improved over the straight knife. So anything that you're going to plant in the garden for the fall, because things die back and they look so bleak over winter, you'll want to put markers in to demonstrate where you've planted things. And you want to put markers that are in defiance of the colors of nature. These neon things are quite easy to put in the garden, and especially, yes, I know they're plastic, but the easy thing about this is if you go in with a power mower, or if you go in with a rototiller, you're not going to wreck anything by putting in, say, a metal marker. Or if you stabbed, you wouldn't do it, but if you stabbed some sort of a metal marker in there and you didn't see it and you went in with a rototiller or something, you're going to bugger something up. So go in with something that's kind of thin like this. So far, I've been really fortunate. I haven't run over these because they stand so tall. And again, they've got the neon colors. They come in white, green, blue. I prefer the yellow and this orange. If you're planting something trying to think of something that I would put in that's a perennial. Let's say I put in some black walnuts in the ground instead of waiting until next year. I will start the row with something this. Again, this is a color that you don't typically see in nature. This fluorescent green, the same. Or this fluorescent plum marker. Putting this in the ground, it's going to be at ground level. So the important part is that you remember where you planted it. Doesn't matter if you run over them with your rototiller or your garden cart or mower next year, because they're not going to do much harm. You'll find a bit of plastic shredded around, but it's not like running over something that is metal. Avoid putting metal in the garden. It's nice to put wooden stakes in there because they biodegrade, but they biodegrade and they look like everything else. They look like weeds. So you want to at least do something where if it's significant enough for you to take the time to plant, you want to put some sort of a marker so that you remember. Or if you put a stick down, get some orange flagging tape and put it around the stick so you go, oh yeah, that's where it is. You'll thank me for it later. Another tool that I use, this is a tool that I used to use when I worked nights in a plastics factory. It's a retractable knife. It is what do you call these? Sheetrock knife. But it's got a retractable blade. And in the place that I worked, the retractable blade was an OSHA requirement. It works great in the garden. So when the blade is out and you hook it into whatever you want, it functions, and then when you cut through, it retracts automatically. It's a good idea. Garden shears, they're cheap enough so that you can get a couple pair for working in your greenhouse or working where you plant stuff up, opening packages for planting seeds. But it's also, if you're snipping off, say basil, basil's easy enough to snip off with shears. You can just take this and it just slides into your back pocket. But again, it's got one of those fluorescent handles so that when you put it down in the garden, you got a pretty good chance of finding it again. Just saying, oh, I'll remember it, that's not good enough. This is a pair of clippers that I've had. This is not, these are the anvil pruners. These are not bypass. Most professional gardeners prefer the bypass because they don't crush the item that they're working on. I tend to, I cut really fast. Now, this is really sharp, and I actually haven't had to sharpen it, but it would cut my finger off easily. So I figured that's sharp enough. But this is one example, again, of putting something on it with a marker. I put blue tape, I put pink tape, I put an orange banner on it. So you can't even buy these anymore. So when I originally found these, I bought 3 pair. And to this day, I still have all 3 pair, which I'm very thankful for. I haven't lost them. So as I speak today, this may be the last time they're seen in real life. So the other kinds of tools that you might want to consider taking a little time to tend to, garden shovel, garden rake, forks. Both of my garden forks have fiberglass handles. So I'm not as worried about those. I will, however, take some time, put some WD-40 on this rag, and after I've cleaned off all the dirt, I'll at least do the tines, so it makes me feel better. The tool might feel a little better too. Most of my shovels, I've wiped all the errant dirt off. There's a fork that I'm still using. I have a couple of potato hills that I have to dig yet. One is in a bucket, so that won't be too hard. But with the ones in a bucket, I'll just use the cultivator and get those out. But if you're using the forks in the garden, if you're going to be transplanting, or if you're going to be using the garden to move a plant as opposed to transplanting out or in, I've got a couple of plants that need to vamoose and find a new place to live, so I'll be using the fork a couple more times this fall. I've got some rugosa roses that I'm going to be digging up and giving to a neighbor, so I'll be using my fork a little longer. But you want to do the same thing. You want to clean the tool from the dirt, let it dry. After it's dry, put a little of that WD-40 on the rag and rub it over the surface. The blade of the shovel or the tines of the fork. Rakes pretty much, I don't want to say they take care of themselves, but the rakes with the wooden handle you'll really want to pay a little attention to. When you have a rake that has a fiberglass handle, I've learned through experience that the fiberglass will degrade in the sun, and you'll get all manner of fiberglass slivers in your hands that you'll be working out over the course of the winter. So take a little care. The sun degrades the handles of the fiberglass, but you always want to bring that stuff in at the end of your day. Cultivators, hoe, rakes, shovels, forks, clippers, scissors. I guess that covers it. Don't put anything metal in the garden that's going to hurt you, or, you know, if you step on this too, it goes into the garden further. It doesn't, you know, go through your foot, for example. You always want to make sure that when you put stuff in the garden, the tines are down. Growing up on a farm, you learn the value of that. So take care with those tools out there, and you'll have a great gardening season next year. That's it for today. Happy gardening.